Willem, you can start immediately here. So hang on just a second, and Willem from the EBU will be up to speak with you.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. I'm Willem Vermost, working for EBU, and I thought this is the last presentation of the day, so I make a very light, entertaining presentation, and I'll try to keep it short, because the best presentation, really, the best content was just given by Brad. For real security experts, it might seem like a little step. I'm repeating words from the 50s somewhere, but actually it was a giant step for the industry, so thank you for the efforts. So, when we do with EBU master classes on IP, I always start with this guy saying, well, why move to IP? And why is IP the enabler of all the things that we want to have as broadcasters? Then, of course, I need to talk about, well, what are those things that broadcasters want to have? Well, they talk about the flexibility, the scalability, and the shareability of the things. And really, this is what IP will give to you. But then you have the guys that always do the operations, and they will say, hey, there's something else going on. If you move to IP, going from SDI, well, we need to talk about the reliability. We're not going to talk about that today. That's to talk about the network. But there's something else as well. IP is also known that you need to take care of the security. So I thought, well, let's do a little bit of research on the internet, and, well, you can do it as well. It's very simple. And think about, well, why do you think about security? And I have a subtitle here, from script kiddies towards organized crime. It sounds maybe a little bit weird, but actually today it's like this. So I thought, when I'm designing the masterclass and also for this presentation, this might be a good guy to bring up. Who knows who this guy is? Q. It's the new Q in the James Bond movie. And to be honest, when I saw this guy turning up for the first time, I thought, looks like a lovely guy. And then he made a statement like this. And I thought, what? You are a very arrogant new Q in the series. And my second thought was, well, I'll hazard I can do more damage on my laptop, sitting behind my pajamas before my first cup of Earl Grey tea, of course, real British, than you can do in a year in the field. My second thought was, maybe he's right. So, exaggerated or reality? Well, you use Google and you try to find some examples. Multiple reports of broadcasters being hacked. And by the way, most of them don't like to talk about it because it doesn't sound good that you're hacked. Content being altered or taken off air. So people start to realize that they need to take care a bit more about security. Well, reputation damage, we'll go over them one by one. There's the obvious example, 2014, Sony Pictures. This is the most horrible slide I will show you, I promise. There are too many words on it, so I'll make the abbreviation. Voila, Sony Pictures, copies of 10 unreleased movies just stolen. And of course, when they're publicly available, they don't make any money out of that. So that's very important for them as well. Now, this is maybe a little bit more different. Does anyone know the example of TV5 Monde? Well, they were so proud. They were just opening their new facility. So they had everyone available. The engineers were there on site because they were finishing the last details. Of course, the DG was there, the Director General. And there were some people from the ministry. So the politicians were there as well. And just when they launched the channel with the French ministers available, well, this guy came up and said, well, that's the DG, by the way, a powerful cyber attack comes close to destroying a French television network. So it's not just stealing a little bit of content, it's destroying the network. And they said, well, it was a race against time. More systems were corrupted with every minute that passed by. So they were really happy that the engineers were still on site to fix it and to try to to safeguard everything that was possible. So it's not just stealing a little bit of content, but it's really a destructive intent, and they were minutes away of closing down the whole television set. So this is more or less I would say, the burning example why we need to take care of it. Now, you could say in the SDI world, this was very secure. Well, it's a physical other thing. It's a dedicated network. It's specialized equipment. Well, sometimes I do laugh a little bit and I say security through obscurity, and then I ask the question, who has SDI equipment at home? Well, nobody. But who has IP equipment at home? Many, many more people. So there are many more people playing with it and that are enabled to play with it and to tamper with it. But please do not forget, in the current SDI world, all the control is already IP. So yes, we need to take care of it today. That's quite simple. So in the broadcast system, you see archive systems, nonlinear playout facility, master control rooms, newsrooms, graphic systems, and so on. Now, the example I'm going to give, it's a very old example and it's fixed, so don't worry about it. But back in the days, 2006, we installed a playout server. And of course, we went just to our digital media factory, we called it. It was fully file-based. And we had, of course, a server, playout server, and you could contact the one with FTP. We had a nice MEM system, and we set up the password and the user. And then we discovered, well, even if we don't type in any user nor a password, we could access the FTP server, and we could push any data or maybe change the data on it. So if you think about it, we use it for news as well, the same server, so we could change to whatever strange movie or alternative content, I would say. Now, of course, this can be fixed. This can be fixed on several levels. You just have to think about it. It are all IT systems today, and there are several layers where you can fix things. So, user administration access, you can limit that. You can use Active Directory to trim down the vulnerabilities. Instead of using default simple passwords, take another password. Some vendors do say, antivirus, please don't use it. It will slow down the system. Well, I can say you, from my personal experience at the broadcaster I worked before, we had antivirus everywhere. You just have to talk with the vendor and take the right profile for your security scanning. If that doesn't work, then you can do other things on other layers, like the OS patching. Sometimes they say, please don't do any OS patching, but if you ask your vendor why, then it's probably because maybe there's a graphical driver they want to protect, and you can patch all the other things. So the communication with the vendor is really important. So alt and unsafe protocols, they're there as well. But where can you fix the things? Well, on other layers. If you have a box that you can't fix with a passport or whatever, then you can think about going a layer down, on layer 3, on your network level. Maybe you can secure it there, ring fence it. So voila, keep your software up to date. That's what Brad discussed. You need to fix it, you need to keep it up to date. The longer an operating system is out there, the more time there was for people to hammer on it and to find those holes. Physical security, it looks quite simple, but think about the current facility. Besides every studio, there's a technical room and everybody can walk in because they're used to patch the system, to take in the cable, to patch it to another system. Well, think about a full IT-based system. You need to have an IT-secured room. There needs to be a batch access. There are other ways to connect to IT systems, remote desktop and that sort of things. So Active Directory, it's out there. Probably everybody has it in its company, and you can secure and lock down your things. Use Windows Server update services to update automatically or not automatically. Maybe you want to test first if your boxes can be updated before you go there. Antivirus, apply different profiles. It's possible today. And last of all, the network. Use layer 3, access control list, firewalls, wherever you can to ring fence the things already. So you can already do a lot of things. So, where do we make the bridge with what Brad just mentioned? So, we had a few broadcasters that said, well, it's going to be difficult for us to go to IP because security is becoming a major issue. This is why I wanted to show you the previous slides. It's already an issue if you don't think about it or if you don't do anything about it. And today, everybody can do something about it. So please get started. Now, within EBU, there's a security group, and they publish recommendations. There's an interesting recommendation, R148. You can download it on the tech.ebu.ch website. And within the recommendation, you find a lot of vectors that are interesting for attacks. Now, when we met the AMWA and we talked about it in JTNM, we said, well, let's do something together. Because only with EBU or only AMWA or only one organization cannot fix it. We need to work together on this. So we opened the document and we said, well, with AMWA and the partners, what can we pick off the list? And how do we start? Because this recommendation, it's too small to read. Of course, it's just an example what's inside. There are all tests. You can use this tool for this specific scan. But this is specific for security people. So we wanted to make some sort of a translation from this high-level document into something practical. What Brad just described in the previous session is a very practical one test on one of these lines. It's the OpenVAS system to do vulnerability scanning. There are other tools described to do other things. So what we with the group intend to do is to build a few documents to help the industry and to help every one of us. I go from the bottom up. Practical documents to be published. One of the practical documents Brad just described, it's a simple test with OpenVAS, even how to do it line by line. It just showed it. The line above, a tactical document with many tests. With a little bit more explanation, this test you can use doing this. And the top level, we use the EBU R148 as the master document to see what type of vulnerabilities we need to tackle. And of course, if we start bottom up, we go with the low-hanging fruit that's good for everyone and simple for everyone to take in. So this is what we intend to make as a publication available on the EBU website. And I said I wanted to make it short and quite as an overview, so thank you. And if there's any question, I'm here to answer.
Okay, thank you. I would just say that from AMWA perspective, Willem, we very much look forward to partnering with EBU as we go forward on this, that IP security is going to be critical for the industry and figuring out practical solutions to address security that people can broadly apply is really going to be a key. So thank you for the opportunity to partner together. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brett, for the opportunity as well.